Here we are, GoatPod number, who knows? I think it might be 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure. I've done a few of these in the last few weeks. And I'm not sure when this is going to get released. So, it's very, very difficult once you start recording so much content. Just roll with it. We record a daily vlog. We record so much content. And now the podcast's taking over as well. But today we've got Henry Patterson, founder of Young and Mighty.
Yes.
Awesome business. Amazing story. 15 years old. I remember the good old days when I was building websites at 15. That was like my thing that I did 15 to just before I was 18. So I remember these exciting entrepreneurial years like so clearly. It was only, how old am I now? 24. It's only 8-9 years ago since I did it. And I've known Aaron, my co-founder here, for almost exactly the same amount of time as that. And I built my business with him, and then I went to work for him, and then I now build a business alongside him again. And it's been a pretty mad journey for me, but I really want to focus on what you've been doing over the last 5 years, 6 years.
It's crazy thinking it's been that long now. It's like
it's like a lifetime.
Because it started when I was 9, and it was like that kind of still feels like yesterday. But now it's kind of going into 5-6 years. It's like that's almost half my life.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, it's just insane.
So 9 years old, you wake up one day, you've not been doing anything entrepreneurial before. What's that trigger? What's that moment where you go, okay, this is what I want to do now?
Well, I think I've kind of always had a bit of an entrepreneurial kind of flair. Like since a really young age, I remember kind of one experience when I was about 5, and I was in the garden centre with my parents, and there was this toy that I so wanted. Yeah. And it was a pretty nightmare situation because I'd run out of all my pocket money for that week, which, as you can imagine, is
traumatizing.
I mean, it doesn't get worse than that. Yeah. Like there is no way to go from there. And I was like, okay, I've got to earn this money. So I went home, and on the way back, I saw the neighbours were selling their horse manure. And we had horses at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into a field and I'm gonna pick up the poo and put it into a bag. And then I hand drew a sign, which was very badly written.
As you can imagine, as age 5.
I think I spelt manure wrong about 7 times.
Yeah.
So if people even knew what the product was, that was shocking. But I went home and I put them all outside my front gates. There were like 3 bags. And the neighbours were selling it for £1. So I thought to myself, okay, it's got to be 50p then. So I got £1.50 in the end. And I was thrilled when someone bought all 3 bags. I was absolutely delighted. And I went and bought my toy, and I think that was the first moment where I thought, this is something that anyone can do.
Yeah.
And I think when I was younger, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I was always kind of thinking, oh, business, that's a grown-up thing. That's something that only grown-ups can do, and I think it has a real, just had a real adult feel to it. But I never thought that I was kind of. Some people have been like, oh, he was kind of pretending to be an adult, but I think that's kind of a stereotype that people put on business, that it's something that only adults can do, where I think it's such a wide thing that really anyone can do it at any age, and it's such a great thing to do. Like I've learned, and I say this all the time, way more than I have doing this than I have in 15 years of school, like ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been amazing.
And are your parents entrepreneurial? So obviously I've had a few businesses now. I've worked for people as well. I've had a good understanding about what the whole business world looks like, despite only being 24. But my parents aren't that entrepreneurial. My mum has had very similar jobs all the way through her life in offices. My dad owned pubs, and I grew up in pubs and restaurants all my life. So I saw the kind of cash exchange business over my life between sort of age of 5 and 15. But I never really saw him as an entrepreneur, more of a landlord who built an amazing restaurant, but didn't really classify that in an entrepreneurial way.
Yeah, so my mum had always worked in marketing.
Okay.
And my dad worked in healthcare. So when I kind of decided to go into retail eventually, because, I was in a sweet shop and my mum was telling me these amazing stories about how she used to go down to her old sweet shop and, buy sweets for 50p a bag, and she, gave me the most vivid stories. And I just thought, sweets didn't have that same feel anymore. So my old catchphrase was, I'm going to put the magic back into sweets. So I went home and I designed like 6 jars of kind of retro sweets. And I called it Not Before Tea, because that's what my grandma always used to tell me when I asked for sweets. It was so annoying, but I'm pleased she said it now.
Yeah, great branding.
So pleased that she said it now. Thank you, Grandma. And yeah, so I launched those sweets, and I think it was really just from Google that I really learned what retail was. And I would by no means call myself an expert, but I just I think with retail especially, it's all about, you've got to find your own way through it. I mean, no one can really tell you how to do it. Like half was through Google, learning the basics. How do I sell on eBay, and then how do I, how do I develop from there? But then the rest was kind of making it up as I went along.
Yep.
Which I feel was a great way to go around it as well, because I've learned from trial and error, which is such a great way to learn.
So eBay was your medium. That's what you were selling
back then. So starting out, I kind of had to first of all raise some money to obviously start a business. So I was selling my old toys and stuff on eBay. And then my grandma gave me £100. Oh,
sorry,
just gonna whack the microphone off the desk. I'm just so excited about this £100. My grandma gave me £100 Christmas money, which I put towards the business. And I think eBay
that was
and
to buy stock.
Buy stock, yeah, exactly. And I think I kind of learned the basics through eBay, and then also through car boot sales, which I would recommend to anyone who wants to start out in real kind of any business at all, because it is just the best advice and training kind of handed to you. It's just how to talk to customers, how to display things, how to price things.
I think it works both ways as well. Like
exactly.
as a buyer,
yes.
if you do car boot sales, is going around negotiating, trying to find a deal, trying to understand what
great skill to have as well. Yeah. I mean, amazing skill to have.
And then like you say, as a seller, it's all about how you present, how you're confident, how you hold your ground, all these different things, your pricing models, all these different things make a big difference going forward. But I think the key thing you touched on there is social skills.
Exactly.
An early age really can set you apart from everyone else.
And I think there are so many retailers and businesses and customer service is a massive thing in this as well. Like, to offer a customer an amazing service, I always use the word experience, because I always feel as though when you walk into a shop, especially now, you have to have something that stands out and is unique. And I kind of like to think of it as like a theatre. So you walk in, the curtain goes up, and you've got to have a real show that is put on for you, just from buying a product. Because I think we are so lucky now as customers that we can get a product within hours online. And we hear this phrase that retail's dying, and the high street's dying. And I kind of feel as though it's definitely savable, but it has to be done well, and it has to be done right.
So how did it develop then? So you start buying these sweets, and you stock up with that £100, and then what's the next move? Where does it go?
Yeah, so I kind of started to sell them to like family and friends.
Okay.
And then extended friends, and so on.
And these were like custom-made jars.
Yeah. So these were just like no bigger than this water bottle.
Okay. Fine. So you buy the jar, which was a glass jar, plastic jar.
Plastic. Yeah.
Plastic jar for what, £1, 50p?
Oh, so I can't remember. Yeah, it's just somewhere around there, and I think we sold them for, it was like £4.95 or £8.95 or something.
So sweets maybe 50p, 80p worth of sweets.
Yeah, like big wholesale boxes of sweets,
and then filled in a 50p jar.
Yeah.
So
huge. That was a dream. We going into these like massive sweet wholesaler warehouses. And you can imagine, for a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old, walking into like sweet, like I felt like I was in Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm pretty famous in this office, and across our different offices in the world, for being obsessed with sweets.
Yeah.
So I've got a pot of Haribo on my desk there. I've also got a subscription service every single week that comes with a kilogram worth of pick and mix. That comes every single time. So that's pretty cool. But I have been obsessed with sweets from a very early age as well. I got into the buying and reselling at the age of 13, 14, when we started to have double periods in lessons. You have those probably an hour and a half long lessons, and then they have that break in the middle with like 2 minutes where you can go to the toilet now, and it's like everyone wants to just do something then.
Actually, those long maths lessons, they were the end of me.
Awful times. Oh. Spanish was my one where I knew that I could sell the most. So what I do is I walk past their McColl's, which have the best pick and mix and best sweet selection out of any high street retailer convenience store. And Chewits were the best seller, Chewits and Fruitella. And you could buy them in the sticks, which come with like 8 to 10 packaged chews. Now and then I'd buy them at retail value, so I wasn't buying from wholesale, I was literally buying at retail, so 33p a stick, 10 sweets per stick, so we're looking at 3.3p a chew. And I'd sell them in 3 different ways. Sell the whole stick for £1, sell half a stick for 50p, or I'd sell each chew for 10p.
Nice.
And that was it. And because then you could just literally lob them around the room. That was how I started. It was just,
you're gonna chew it. You're gonna chew it. You're gonna chew it.
It was like, okay, we're gonna stop for 2 minutes. You guys can go to the toilet. You can go and have a quick snack. And I'd literally just go, okay, who wants some Chewits? And then you go, me, perfect. I'd literally have money being passed around the room. I'd be throwing Chewits around.
Hashtag Chew It Tuesday.
Exactly. And it was mad. It was mad. And I made, I don't know what, 10 quid a day.
Yeah.
But it would literally just be, what was I doing? I was doing about 300-400% profit on a packet of Chewits, but I was doing huge amounts of sticks, literally as many as my school bag could carry. But I wasn't doing anything clever like you were, which is kind of repackaging, buying a wholesale. I was literally just churning out and playing, I suppose, on what Uber and Deliveroo and Uber Eats have really capitalized on in the last few years, which is convenience. I was the guy at that time that everyone wanted a snack. I had it, and I could hugely mark it up. I was basically like the ultimate surcharge.
And I think the big mistake that people are doing right now is there'll be a massive boom and a massive trend, and suddenly everyone will just do exactly the same thing.
Yep.
And here's the thing: we already have Uber, so don't try and be the next Uber. You can try and be better than Uber, but don't try and literally launch Zuber, because we've already got it, and we are already using it. So you got in at exactly the right time, whereas if someone else then goes down the road and starts selling Starbursts, you're already there.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's like such an important thing to kind of learn well and kind of see where your market's going as well.
And timing is everything, right? You can get incredibly lucky. I got incredibly lucky because one day I bought 2 or 3 packs for myself, and then someone went, "Oh, I'll buy it. I've actually got 50p, like I have half pack." And then it like, wow, I can sell half a packet. I can have half, which is enough. And I can sell half for the same price as I bought the whole packet.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like perfect. So that's how my entrepreneurial journey started. So what scale did you get to with the sweets? Like you're selling at 300% profit margin, 300% markup, on what you have. You've got a profit margin pretty healthy, like 70%.
So there was one moment in particular where I kind of thought, okay, maybe it's time to expand a bit on just doing sweets, which was so I kind of started to go public with these sweets, and like I built a website and stuff, and my mum, who, as I said, had always worked in marketing and PR and stuff, she taught me how to write a press release, which I wrote, and I just sent it to everyone as we do, and I thought maybe the village paper will pick it up. In the next 2 days, it's on page 3 of the Daily Mail.
Wow.
Which was like, how has this happened? And we got something like 40,000 hits to the website, and we had like 4 jars of sweets. So that kind of was a bit of a learning curve of me thinking, hey, maybe I should broaden my horizons a bit and just expand on just doing, these sweets that I'm not going to turn around as quickly. And doing one press interview, the guy on the phone asked, so I suppose you're going to write a book about this next? And I was like, that's a really good idea. And I'd always had this story in my head of this mouse and owl who run this sweet shop. So I just wrote this story, and I went onto Etsy and found this amazing artist called Becky Down, who had just come out of university. And I approached her and I was like, please can you help me with this project? And thank goodness she said yes, because honestly, these illustrations were amazing. And we sent the book to be self-published, because at the time that seemed as though it would be the most simple thing to do. And I just remember holding this book in my hand and just holding something that you've worked on, or looking at something that you've spent so much time on, and seeing a finished product, as I'm sure you'll know, is just the most amazing, satisfying, rewarding experience ever. And I was just holding
something about
book.
Being physical as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And seeing my name on the front cover and stuff, it's just like a dream. And it went out and it did quite well, and it got more and more and more media attention. So I'd grown up in like the age of merchandise, Peppa Pig, for instance. We'll all watch it, and then everyone wants something with Peppa Pig on, or whatever it is. So I had my heart set on doing all this merchandise. So
how many sales did you make of the book?
I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but it did do reasonably well. But I can't quite remember. But yeah, so we eventually ended up doing some merchandise, which originally, I think a lot of people want to do everything in the UK.
Yep.
And I was one of those people, but I think some things in the UK, just making them was so expensive that we did eventually have to outsource overseas. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Just kind of I always think that community is so important in any business. You've got to be giving back. So as long as you're giving something back to your town, your country, your village, whatever, as long as you're giving something back, I think, obviously within reason, it's fine how you get there. And we ended up going overseas to make these products with all of the characters from the book on. And again, it was just amazing. And we ended up being stocked in like 200 stores.
Wow.
Which was...
What stores?
Mind-blowing. We got into like Phoenix and stuff, which was just fantastic. Just seeing it in like these big department stores and gift shops all around the country, which was just absolutely amazing and just fantastic to see a physical product there that you've made. And I think I did all this whilst battling with my stammerers. I've stammered many times. And that was a result of not fitting in at school, which I think whether it's school or anywhere, I think entrepreneurs, not even just entrepreneurs, everyone at some point in their life has to face difference. And whatever it is, it's literally anything. And mine was, I just liked to sell sweets.
Yeah.
And I was always kind of, I quote, the weird one. And trust me, there's nothing wrong with being weird at all. The best people are weird.
Yeah.
And I was always the sort of person, if my friends were wearing baseball caps, I'd be wearing a top hat. Or they were listening to pop music and I was on Broadway show tunes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's that I kind of eventually started to get loads of comments at school from the teachers as well, saying that I was useless, that I'd never get anywhere in life, and that I wasn't fitting in and stuff, which was, at that time so hard to deal with, like being, 4, 5, 6, which was kind of horrible to deal with.
What was making you want to do things differently?
I'm not sure. I think it was just this kind of, just to be something. And so many people, say, oh, I want to be the next blah, 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 blah. And I think it's so fantastic to have those goals, but just do it. Like, I think so many people, and some of my old friends were saying, oh, I'll wait until I finish school. Just, no, don't wait. Get all of the practice and the work you can right now, because there is no time like the present, and tomorrow isn't promised. So just do as much as you can now, because it's never too early to start.
Do you have any memories of any particular encounters with other people at school or teachers when they said something, when you reacted in a way, probably internally, where you're like, I want to prove you wrong?
Well, I think literally everyone has had that at some point. When someone has just said a comment, I can't pick one, but someone has just said a comment that's really kind of hit you, and you're just like, do you know what? I've got to prove you wrong on this. Because I think it's horrible how people can make these quick assumptions of, you know, what you're going to become in your life or what you're doing now. Like still at conferences and stuff, at like big retail events, I remember speaking somewhere, and this guy walked over to me and was, you know, quite patronizing, just kind of firing all of these questions at me, and kind of wanting to, like, I think, and one of them was, how much money do you make? Now, that question is, okay, so obviously money is really important in business. You know, it wouldn't function without it.
Yeah.
But for me, making money is no way the most important goal. Obviously, it's an amazing bonus.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I can get some money from what I'm doing. But the fact that someone wants to judge you on how much money you're earning is pretty unbelievable. Like, there are some people who get so far in their life, but they don't end up in a billion trillion pound house.
Yeah.
And they don't have really flash cars and stuff, but they have still done amazing things and have succeeded so much in their life. And for someone to come up to you and kind of put you into some category based on that is unbelievable.
How did people start to react when you were selling the sweets in school? When you started to find some success, you're making a bit of money. So I didn't start as young as you, but I did start working at my dad's pubs and restaurants when I was 12, 13.
Yeah.
So I always had more money than everyone else because I earned a wage at 12, 13. They were doing paper rounds for like £5, £10 a day. I was doing shifts, which would make me 30, 40, 50 pounds. I did every weekend. So I was making £150 a week. And that allowed me to have the ability to start sweet stuff later on in life. But really it was the thing that set me apart. But people become jealous, or people become inquisitive, or curious, or sometimes in a really positive way, but sometimes in a negative way. What was the reaction at the start of that journey? And obviously you're still going through that, right? You're still at school.
So I go to an online school now, which is amazing. And I think I was about to say that was in year 9, so not very recent. So yeah, so really recently. I was about to say I would recommend that to everyone, but I don't at all. I think just in general, education is so. I think for years now we've kind of, it hasn't moved on, and there's this assumption that just normal school, and I say normal as in a physical school, works for everyone. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like for me, I did a speaking tour last year around Asia. Speaking at these big conferences, I wouldn't have been able to have done school in Asia because my school was in the UK.
Yeah.
So I moved on to do this online school, which I could do literally anywhere. And more people are starting to get into it. But I think, look, as long as you're learning how to add and subtract, do it anywhere. And do what works for you. For me, physical school did not work. Just back to the previous question, like I had, I'd say 2 people who were supportive of what I was doing at school.
And who was that?
There's some old friends of mine.
So they were like same age as you?
Yeah, the same age as me. And no one else supported me. They were wanting to literally break down my creativity and grind it up and like turn it into toothpaste.
Yeah.
So they were literally so against me doing anything. And the parents as well were, were really, were just really kind of just rude and just like, oh, he can't be doing this, because they didn't like difference. The world has this problem with difference, and we're slowly becoming more and more accepting, but very slowly. And we all just need to completely open up our minds, because honestly, and it's difference everywhere. I keep saying this word, whether it's me not fitting in at school, or me doing something different, or doing school in a different way. People are so petrified of the word difference. They are hiding behind similarity all the time. And it is just doing bad stuff to the world. And they were so against me doing any of this. But I can't remember, because I was so young, kind of ever confronting them about this. why can't I? Like, why couldn't I be doing this? Like, I remember I came back from the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, which was like my kind of first ever big awards in 2013. And I went to school the next day, and I was, so proud of it. But they were just like, yeah, that's great. Let's get back to school now. Obviously, it was important that I was getting an education, but they were almost banning me from ever speaking about it. And some of my old questions in interviews were, how do you separate your school life and business life? Of course, I never walked in and was just like, look at me, everyone, I've just won an award. Hey, guys. But I wasn't kind of...
You weren't two different people, right? You were the same person.
Yeah, exactly. And they thought that I was going to walk in and I would suddenly be like Lord Sugar walking in.
Yeah.
Which so wasn't the case. That was me. And the fact that they thought, oh, well, he's a schoolboy, so he can't be an entrepreneur, was unbelievable.
So that's a good moment, right? To kind of talk about the when you won that award, what was going through your head? What was the fallout of that? Was that a defining moment? You'd obviously got recognised quite a lot at that point, but it was quite a defining moment.
That award was literally the turning point ever. Because...
Is that the NatWest Awards?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic. It was up there with the best evenings of my life, because this was at my darkest time in school, and I was 9, and I was just being told daily I was useless. And and these were the teachers saying that as well, which was just horrible.
Were you good at education academically or not?
I've never been bad at it.
Yeah.
I've always preferred music and drama and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love retail so much. As I was saying earlier, it is like a performance. Like, I literally, you spend the whole time rehearsing for it, and then it's like, and now it's opening night. But I remember going to this awards, and that morning I was being told that I was useless still. And I walk in there, and I felt so valued, and everyone was giving me these amazing compliments that I'd achieved so much in this business. I've never felt so at home in a place than I did that night, because it was like I'd suddenly found somewhere, and found a group of people, which in the end was entrepreneurship in general, who I kind of belong with. Like, that's my thing. And that was the turning point, thinking, these teachers are wrong. Like, they are categorically wrong. And this is what I want to do.
So that night goes away. That's age 10. The sweet business is still the core business.
Yeah.
How does it develop? And then obviously the stories come out, the book comes out. How does it develop past that?
So once we had the merchandise, we eventually stopped the sweets for no reason in particular, other than just we kind of wanted to focus on the book and focus on all the merchandise and stuff. And that goes on and on and on. Oh my goodness, what happened next? Okay, yeah. So this kind of continues for, I'd say, up until I'm about 11, and still is going on. But I then got invited to speak at this really small local event to a bunch of parental entrepreneurs. And this was a terrifying thought, because I had a stammer, so talking wasn't my strong point anyway. So I got invited to this event. And
do you think you were picked on in the previous years because of the stammer? Do you think that was another thing that you were different?
I think that was definitely a reason. But I never kind of... children are generally, or not generally, but some children are just quite, nasty name calling. And I obviously got that, but that didn't hurt me as much as the kind of assumption comments were. My stammer, that was just something that I kind of had to get over.
Yeah.
Look, it's there, so get on with it. And yeah, so I went to this event petrified before I went on. But I'd always had
How many people?
Was only like 150.
That's still a lot of people.
Yeah, lots for a kind of
11-year-old kid.
Yeah, lots. Yeah,
and all adults.
And with a stammer. which was
and you'd never done anything like it before.
And I'd never done anything like it.
What had you done in drama or theatre at that point?
I love musicals, and when I sing, there's no stammer. So if I was to like sing this whole interview, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Might be a bit weird though.
It would be weird. In this
Should we
podcast,
just break into song?
It would be a weird. It would be a first for the podcast. But,
yes.
But I think I'm not sure I could keep up.
Coming to the West End.
Yeah. It'd be a hell of a duet. Let me tell you now.
Goat the musical.
Wow.
That
has to happen. Has to happen.
That is going to happen.
Once we continue to grow and it becomes so important in culture that Goat grew as an agency, we'll build a musical about it.
We could have a goat in it.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Like an actual goat, and we could teach it to sing.
That'd be good.
Yeah, so I walked on stage and my stammer just suddenly just goes away. Literally, it was like
because you were performing, right?
Yeah, and
do you find that is exactly the same when you're doing theatre and
I feel
drama?
so comfortable on stage, honestly. That's such a stagey thing to say, but it's true. I feel so comfortable performing.
Do you think it's because it's not you?
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, I think doing drama and being a different person is so fun. It's like you can leave the world behind. And it's amazing. It's because it's total escapism. And it's the same watching the theatre as well. Like I've just come from watching Hamilton, and it was just mind blowing.
Yeah, I owe a lot to GCSE drama. So when I was 14, I decided that drama was what I wanted to do, and I'd never been very good at public speaking. I'd never been very good at. I wasn't bad at it, but I wasn't good at it, and wasn't happy doing it. And then I did drama, and again, that ability to become someone else on stage, become something a bit different, and really express yourself in that like emotional, impactful way to a group of people was very, very useful for me in my further life and where I've got to now.
Yeah, like you mentioned about public speaking there, and that is something a lot of people think it's a taught thing. I think it's so easy to tell. Okay, so to have a few speaking lessons is fine. I personally have never had it, and I've never used notes because I just like talking. I'm a very chatty person. But I feel as though people who go to like intensive public speaking classes and do all this, how to become a great public speaker, that may work for some people, but for me, I just feel that it's so obvious to see a kind of taught speaker because they're always perfect, word for word perfect. Some of my greatest speaking sessions have happened because I have spilled water all down my jeans or had a massive coughing fit. Both of those have happened and have been absolutely dreadful. Oh my goodness, that was awful. But yeah, and when it comes from the heart, it's so noticeable.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever done a slot where I've stayed on my mental notes. I just go off on so many tangents that in the end, I think I actually once ended up singing Hamilton at a public speaking event.
Nice.
I once made a whole taught the whole, like a whole audience in Vietnam the intro to Hamilton.
Nice.
Which was one of the weirdest things that's ever actually happened to me. And my new thing from now is that I'm going to claim that I'm the only public speaker on planet Earth that has taught a Vietnamese audience.
I think that is
the intro
probably
to Hamilton
something you can claim.
In a retail summit.
Yeah, nice.
Of all places.
Nice. So what's now? What does your life look like now? You've just come off the back of a tour around Asia, doing some amazing speaking, soaking in the amazing culture that is Asia. We've obviously just set up an office in Singapore. I've not been yet, which is really bad of me, but I'm really excited to head over there.
That was a surreal experience.
How did it come about?
So it was from this small event that I first spoke at, and I started to just like these things happen, and I always think of it as like a family tree. Like one event is going to spark multiple opportunities and more and more and more, and then eventually you'll have like a massive kind of handful of opportunities. And I ended up speaking at these amazing places off at the back of this. And then I got invited. I remember this so well. I was upstairs. I think I was playing Minecraft or something because
of course,
amazing. And my mum calls me downstairs, and she's had this email from this place that wants me to speak.
Was she handling all your press,
yes,
media requires?
Yes. And it was for Retail Week Live, which was like amazing. But I didn't really know what that was back then because I was still like 10, 11, somewhere around there. And then she was like, yeah, it's at the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I was just kind of mind blown. And I just remember speaking there. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is happening. Yeah. I was speaking to these massive retail giants like Google and Amazon and everywhere.
Yeah.
And these massive companies. And I just remember going on and just having the time of my life. It was just so fun. And that's one other assumption I can't stand is people who are like, yeah, it's so boring business.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all numbers and figures. I guess to some extent, if you don't like numbers and figures, I'm actually one of those people who I look at a chart and I was just like, can I sit down, please? This is not fun. But I love the creative side of it all. And I think the thing is that people associate business with just being GCSE business studies, which I'm failing right now.
Okay, nice.
So that kind of says it all. Like, I don't click well with the education system in general. Because no matter which way you're doing it, you're still learning the same stuff. Like, there are subjects that I'm really good at, but for some reason, doing business studies isn't one of them.
So it's interesting talking about specific lessons. And I did business studies as well at GCSE and did okay at it, but apply none of it to running a 120-person global agency. What lesson? And this is really interesting, good timing, because I had my former head of year come in and request to come in last week to bring his whole leadership team, his senior leadership team, in his new school where he's the head teacher. Yeah. And they took a room in our office and kind of absorbed all the energy and all the amazing things. Our average age here is 24. And wanted to kind of show his senior teaching staff what it's like to work in a cool, energetic agency.
It's an awesome office.
Yeah, it's a cool office. And when it's full during the day, there is a huge amount of energy and there's a buzz. So he wanted to bring it here. And the one question, and I did a talk for them for half an hour in front of 10, 12 people in that team and give them a bit of motivation. So this is what we're trying to do here. This is how you can apply it to what you're doing. And one of the first questions he asked me was, if you could go back in time and add something to the curriculum, what would you do? And I've got my answer, but what do you think you'd add? Knowing that business studies obviously sounds great, but it doesn't really do what it says on the tin.
I picked it last year and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going
to
smash this.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like simple things like profit. Well, I say simple things that I'm failing.
Yeah.
Like profit and loss charts. I'm awful at.
Yeah.
Like genuinely so bad at. For me, it wouldn't be a specific subject more than, I think,
or a skill.
More of a skill. It's GCSEs. It's a big word I'm facing right now. Like I'm in year 10, going into year 11. Just started summer. And it's just one of these things that I feel as though a lot of kind of companies, less and less of them now, but still a lot of companies and a lot of people and a lot of students are thinking my life is dependent on these exams. For some companies, that may be the case. Of course, it isn't your life. But I think the exams, paper exams in general, I feel as though we're getting very outdated. Firstly, you could just be having a really bad day to taking an hour's paper that is deciding your life.
Yep.
And I think taking a paper exam, for instance, I took my end of year business studies exam.
Yeah.
I can't remember what mark I got, but it was just about 50%. And I just remember thinking, is there not a more practical exam that I can take? Not like coursework, but just a general going and selling at a market and being scored for it would be an amazing exam. And you would learn I promise
Young
you,
enterprise
you would
sort
learn
of thing.
so much more than doing profit and loss charts and stuff like that.
So what's the skill? What would you introduce if you could go back in time, or not a lot of time for you, but for me it was
I would
10
just
years.
call it, I don't know, life skills.
Yeah.
Just things that you're actually going to use in your life. There isn't in maths, how long will it take the ladybird to go around the square? I don't think I've ever been asked that in 6 years of retail.
Yeah.
How long it's going to take for the ladybird to go around the square if you been asked that?
There is a lot of random stuff that gets taught to you in school. I think life skills is important. I think I saw someone talk about it yesterday where saying, why don't you get taught how to fill out a mortgage application? Because everybody has to do that. But the first time you do it, you've got no idea how to do it.
And even like writing a press release, my mum taught me that, and it's a skill that has just kind of stayed with me now. And that's such a useful skill to have, because I think so many people have these great ideas, and to get them out there is such a massive thing. And obviously getting attention is a massive part of that. And writing a press release is obviously such a critical way of doing that, and a crucial way of doing that, rather. And so many people don't know how to do it. Like, I've seen so many kind of examples of bad press releases and stuff. I'm trying to think of one. I don't think I will, but yeah, which are just awfully written, and will just get nowhere because they use these. They kind of regurgitate these old headlines that kind of papers have used, thinking, oh, it's fine, this is their style and stuff.
They've already written this, so they've
literally written that article like on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So don't try and publish it on Friday.
Yeah.
So
for me, and the answer I gave on the day was public speaking, or social engagement, or social presentation. Being able to present yourself in a way which other people can give empathy towards. Because I think, and I didn't go to a private school, I'm not sure if you did, but having met a lot of people along my journey, the difference between people who are schooled at private schools versus people that are schooled at state schools is quite a significant difference on a public presentation and social adeptness point of view versus the people that were schooled at state schools. And that's nothing bad against either, really. I think actually when it comes to education, there's not a lot of difference. Good state schools do very, very well against private school numbers. But when it comes to the ability, one, to network, to build that network, to build those connections, and two, to be able to make the most of them, to be able to be social. Nick, my co-founder, went to Eton, and you'd never know it. He went and did. He was fantastic at sport, and that's how he got there, and was awesome at lots of different things. But the thing I pick up from him the most, and what he learned throughout his schooling, I'm sure, is his ability to be social and be social with everybody, from right at the bottom to right at the top. He can change however he is, and everyone loves him.
But I think that's okay. Those are really great points. But when it comes to and I got into a debate with someone on Instagram about this, of the likelihood of success from going to a state school or private school. When you look at the amount of successful entrepreneurs who went to a state school, there are so many. I'd say they are almost more successful than ones who went to a private school.
I think people that want it more.
Exactly. And
are you state schooled or?
I went to a private school, but I genuinely, money was never something that kind of drove me. And what a lot of people assume is just because I went to a private school, oh, he's loaded. No, I'm not. And they think, oh, he bought his way to where he is now. I honestly, I can't remember a time where money has been a problem for me to kind of not a problem, but like a kind of a way that I've got somewhere. I have never ever used money. The only time that I've used money was the £100 Christmas money from my grandma, and that was the only gift of money. And obviously, with the exception of like grants and stuff, which is, you know, when you have a good idea, you could get a grant. But like nothing from being in a private school to a state school can can affect your chances of success. If you want it and you have a drive, you are most likely going to get there. Like, the more you want it, the more chance of success you have, and the more you just work at it. Like, people think that I just sat here and this whole thing happened. It really didn't.
Yeah.
And I think it's a massive, again, it's a bit like all these stereotypes and kind of labels that people put on you. It does not matter. And not once when I've met someone that is successful and I've sat down with them and spoken have those two words, public, state or like private, come up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Ever. And it does not affect your chances of success at all.
I'm definitely in agreement with that. I just think it was very interesting for me when I came into London and started my first job at 18 and realized the difference between the people and their ability to present themselves.
Yep.
And there was no difference in academic attainment. There was no difference in ability, but the difference in presentation of that person and how they came across was very, very different. And that was the one thing that I noticed the most when I realized and started to socialize with those people versus the people that I'd always socialized with for 18 years previously.
Yeah.
And that was really, really eye-opening for me. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get across to the guys who are running curriculums in the UK. And, you know, it's very interesting to see how people can change based on how they're educated, because that's basically how you learn everything in the start anyway. And if you're learning about how to present yourself from the start, then I think there's a very, very good chance you'll present yourself in a more positive way going forward in the future. But I'd like to talk about two main things before we wrap up. First of all, what's next? Like, you're 15. I started my first proper business when I was 16. I sold that and it did pretty well. We built the biggest football blogging network in the UK.
It's amazing.
And I did it from my bedroom. My mum said I'd never make any money online. She wanted me to go and get a proper job like everyone else.
That's the word. That is the word. The proper job.
Yeah. But no, she, not in a bad way, not in a cynical way. She just didn't understand that I could make money on my laptop.
Yeah.
The best thing I ever bought was a MacBook because it separated me from everyone else. Again, it comes back to not being from money. Like, I bought a MacBook from the money I made, and then that just transformed everything. I had the ability to do everything there.
And it's an incentive as well.
Yeah.
You are working on something that, look at this amazing thing in my hand.
Yeah, aspirational.
That I have made, and that I could keep on making.
I was always the
next
first
year I can get the latest MacBook.
Yeah, I had always had the first thing, because
one.
again, because I was working in pubs, like, I always had the first. I had the first person in my school to have an iPhone, because I just wanted the things and had the ability to buy the things I wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, what's next for you? Like, are you employing people now?
So last year I launched my book, Young and Mighty, which is all about, how to start a business, and then has some tips at the back from amazing entrepreneurs that I managed to interview, like Sir Richard Branson, and Cameron McIntosh. She's a big theatre producer, and the cast of Hamilton, amazing. Sarah Willingham, and just these amazing entrepreneurs. And that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment, just promoting the book. And then I went on my tour of Asia. Right now, it's just helping people. That is it. For me, it's the main goal. Is just, if I had someone asked me what advice would I give myself when I was 9, and I like, if I was to sit down with 9-year-old me, it would just be honestly, don't care about what people think, because seriously, you've just got to power through, work at it. So yeah, like, for me, I just want to show people that, you can do anything when you put your mind to it. But in the next few years, more speaking events. I'm doing something in America this year or next year, and then working on a few other projects that are quiet at the minute. But I will let you know as soon as I can talk about them.
So what does your business look like, or what do you look like in 10 years when you're my age? You're 24, 25. You've 15 years experience in the business world, books out, speaking engagements. What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be running a company the size of mine? Do you want to be running something small that you like own everything of and it's you as the personal brand? Or do you want to be running something that's global and has 100 people? And what is the goal? What's the actual aspiration for you?
I mean, I have got so many things that I want to do. One of them is to keep on doing business. Another is to perform on stage. Both of those are obviously so different, but onto business, because obviously that's what it's about. I try not to think. I obviously think about my future. It is no way my number one priority. I'm one of these people who just likes to live in the moment, and try and do as just the best I can in every moment given to me. I think the hard part about that question is I don't know what's coming up that I don't know about yet.
Yeah, of course you don't know what you don't know.
And like I said earlier, it's like a family tree of events, the way that this happened. It's like, so my next few projects might lead on to
everything else.
Billion different things.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what I might be doing in a few years. So it is an impossible question to answer.
Well, what do you want to do? That's different, right?
That is a different question.
What you might be doing when you're 25 is very different to what you actually want to do right now. When I was 15, I wanted to be a footballer. I still wanted to be a footballer at that point. And then by the time I was 16, I realised I wasn't going to be a footballer, wasn't good enough, and I wanted to write about football because I still wanted to be friends with the footballers, and that was my thing. I just wanted to be friends with footballers because I thought that's the coolest thing you can ever be when I was a 15, 16-year-old boy. And so I thought, okay, I'll just write about football because I can get to the footballers like that, and that's how I built out the blogging network. And I went to my local newspaper and said, can I basically work experience with you? And they said no, because I wasn't 18, I wasn't old enough. And I thought, fuck you, I'm going to build it myself. And then I ended up building a network bigger than with a bigger writing team than Daily Mail.
Yeah.
And that story was built off the back of 15, 16-year-old me wanting to be a footballer, but then realizing actually what I wanted to be at 25 was friends with footballers.
I mean, the one for me, I think people also have this assumption that you can only do one thing in your life, which is crazy. Humans aren't meant to do one thing in their life, because it gets boring after a while. Like doing kind of saying I was kind of, I don't know, hammering wood for like literally every day, it would get boring. Now I'm obviously not saying that when you're running a great business like this, that you want to just suddenly say, okay, I'm bored of this now, I'm going to go work over there. Just change is always so good. So whether it's kind of small changes like, I don't want this bottle here anymore, I want to put it there. That could excite you, I guess. But for me, there are so many things I want to do. I 100% want to spend some time on stage performing, because it's something that I just love doing in general. And then, to run a successful company and just...
What does a successful company look like in your head?
Well, for me, it would be just making a difference. And I know that's something that I'm sure half the people down there are going to say. But it doesn't make it any less true.
Making a difference to who?
To people who need it. Just to people like me who need it. And
you're going to be the hero really for the people that are different.
Who wouldn't want to help people? And if I had, not to say if I had someone like me when I was younger, because I would probably find myself annoying, but if I had someone to look up to when I was younger, that would have been amazing. That there was no one that was in the public eye doing stuff that I could really think, that is who I want to be like. And there were obviously people like Sir Richard Branson, but they were,
so unattainable.
But they're grown-ups to me. Back then and still are. But for me, like if I had someone my age or younger or older or whatever, but someone that was, close to me and that I could relate to, that would just have been amazing. And it would have been such a help. But I'm just pleased that I managed to startup.
And then finally, you've obviously met a lot of famous entrepreneurs. You've met a lot of people who've done amazing things in business over the last 50 years. And I imagine soaked up quite a lot of different pieces of advice. What's that one piece of advice that stuck with you? I know the piece of advice you'd give other people would be, don't listen to anyone and what they say, do what you feel is right. And I think that's probably what I'd tell people now. That would be my piece of advice. And I had another 15-year-old in here yesterday, Alex from Glasgow. The guy went completely viral over the weekend, having rapped on the stage at Glastonbury. And yeah, I'm not sure if you saw the story, but he was at Glastonbury on Sunday and he got picked out of the crowd to go and rap with a grime artist on stage in front of 60,000 people. Oh, wow. And he took his opportunity and he smashed it. And he's grown over 200,000 followers in the last 24 hours.
200,000 followers, eh?
yeah, it's pretty nuts. And he was in yesterday. And I talked to him about making sure you can make the most of it. Don't listen to anyone. Do what you want to do, but make sure you stay true to yourself. That would be my advice. But what advice have you heard over the last 4 or 5 years where you've gone, okay, that's how I'm gonna judge everything?
I think from multiple people, it's simply been, success does not come overnight. You know, we kind of hear all this overnight sensation stuff. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the writer of Hamilton, I know I keep saying it, but
you're a
Hamilton
fan.
Is thank you. But he's had the words overnight sensation, and what he always says was it was an overnight sensation 7 years in the making. So it wasn't an overnight sensation at all. And I think people have, and it's a bit like the question you asked me earlier. What do I want to do in the future? Whatever your goal is, I think to have stepping stones to get there. So whether it be I want to have, I only want to work 3 days a week. You've got to get, you can't suddenly go into your calendar, just go delete 3 days. It has to be stepping stones to get there. And you can't expect your success just because you have a great idea doesn't mean that it's going to succeed overnight. Like you still have to work at it. There are loads of great ideas, but you need to work on that idea and build on that idea until it gets amazing. And never think no idea is too small and no idea is too big. But why focus your audience on your village, when it could be your town, your city, your country, your continent, the world? Why not just go for global domination? But don't expect to get there tomorrow.
It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been a pleasure chatting to you. I think you've got a really inspirational story. I think you've got a very exciting future ahead of you.
Oh, thank you.
And something I'm definitely going to keep an eye on over the next 10 years, when you're my age, old and grey like I've gone. But mate, it's incredible, from selling sweets to doing Asian speaking tours. Like, that's pretty amazing.
It's been like a kind of whirlwind. I can't really believe that last year I was in Asia doing all this.
And at the start of that year, you were at school. Yeah.
So weird. So very strange. And now I'm having a mental block even thinking about it. I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Who am I?
But you should be very, very proud of everything you've achieved.
Thank you so much.
And so should everybody that's supported you along the way. And I think you're totally right. The naysayers at the start, it's about proving those guys wrong and making sure that you have achieved what you want to achieve, and you come out the end of it, happy with yourself and in a better place than you were when you first started. And I think that's pretty clear to see that you've done that. Henry, mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the GoatPod.
And thank you for having me in your amazing offices.
Thank you so much.
I want an office like this. That's my goal.
That's the goal, yeah.
That's my goal.
A corner office.
And I want that goat.
You want that goat? Okay, fine. I've got an orange goat over there as well. This was a nice moment walking into this office for me. That was like, okay, cool. We haven't made it, but we're on the road to something really, really exciting. That was a really cool moment. But yeah, mate,
thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And if you are a new watcher to the GoatPod, don't forget there is other episodes available on YouTube. Oh God, where else are we putting this, Matt? We're putting it on all podcasting channels around the world, as well as obviously we've got the daily vlog every single day on LinkedIn and YouTube. We record everything around the office from every office around the world, New York, Singapore, and London. And also loads of other added content on our LinkedIn channel, The Goat Agency, or on my channel, Harry Hugo. So yeah, do tune in, and thank you so much for watching or listening if that was what you were doing. Thank you very much. See you next time.
I'm gonna go watch it.